If you feel footsteps are harder to hear in Call of Duty, you are not crazy. There are some changes after the latest updates, and in this video I help you decide what's best for you. Let's get into it. So the first thing you need to consider is that we are recording the audio from this player, and at the same time we are testing the footsteps and gunshots from the enemy side. So what we recorded is what this player can hear, like this. And then we recorded the audio for footsteps from this location until we get close to the enemy. Alright, so we repeated the same test first in stereo for headphones mode, bass boost, bass cut, and then we tried to change it to 3D audio. So we repeated the same test in 3D audio as well. And then we ran another test with the enhanced headphones mode with universal profile. We will test the paid one soon. Here's what I found. Here you can see the results, and by the way, if you are a member on datasheets level, you can get access to this file. Before the video, I'm gonna release this file before I release the video. So here are audio modes and then footsteps loudness on average for every mix. How many decibels? Lower means louder. So for example, if footsteps are minus 11 decibels here, they will be heard louder compared to, let's say, headphones bass boost, which is minus 14 decibels. And then we have the gunshots loudness. We only tested and compared footsteps to gunshots because that's what you hear in the game the most. And then we tested 3D audio without any profiles, and then enhanced audio mode with the universal profile. In stereo mode, we got minus 11.47 decibels, which is quite loud for footsteps with sucker punch mode. But it gets louder if you enable 3D audio on PS5. We got minus 10.7, almost, not almost, but around 1 decibel louder. And then we have, sorry, this one was mistaken. And then we have minus 12.56 enhanced headphone mode universal profile. And by the way, don't worry about that because the enhanced headphone mode makes everything a little bit quieter overall, and we talk about it soon. So let's talk about the dynamic range. What is dynamic range? Dynamic range is the difference between the loudest and quietest sounds. We talked about it a lot in the past. For example, if gunshots are the loudest sounds and then footsteps are quietest, how much is the difference? Let's think about it like volume. If footsteps are, for example, at volume 1 and gunshots are at volume 10, then the dynamic range is 9. And what happens if a dynamic range is too high? It will be harder to hear quiet sounds. And if it's too low, everything will blend, like footsteps will be as loud as gunshots, and that might be a problem for some people. So I tested dynamic range between footsteps and gunshots. And you can see in stereo, we have 12, 12, 14, 14, 11, 12, 11. The lowest dynamic range we get in stereo mode is 11.42, and that's with sucker punch. That's why I recommend it a lot. I know some people don't like it because everything else gets louder as well, but this is the only way I can boost footsteps without blowing up my ears while having a lower dynamic range. And the difference is not that much. Let's say we play in headphones mode. It's around 2.5 decibels louder. And then we have the 3D audio mode, which is 10.42. Actually, footsteps get louder if you use 3D audio on PS5. And then we have enhanced headphones mode universal profile, which is 12.23. So the enhanced mode, even the universal profile, makes footsteps a bit quieter than other modes. The dynamic range is in fact louder, so it will be either harder to hear them or loud sounds will be a bit louder. You may say, what does it have to do with footsteps? Well, if footsteps are too quiet and everything else is too loud, you can't hear them. And the other problem is if they are a bit far from you, it gets even harder. What you see here is mainly based on multiple tests and the highest volume we got for footsteps when the enemy was too close to us. You see, this is where we get the loudest footstep sound. For example, if someone is running from this distance, you can hear it's too quiet. You can even see it here. It's too quiet at the first, and then when they get too close to you, it gets a bit louder. What do I personally suggest? Stereo mode or 3D audio or 3D audio with profiles or enhanced headphone modes with universal profile or without it? Well, you can't judge it just by dynamic range and the loudness of footsteps. That's why I ran multiple more important tests, and here's the interesting result. So here's the most important part of this video. And the most important thing I want you to focus on, first of all, is that we are recording the audio for this guy. And then we are running on another console to test footstep sounds and everything else, especially directions, to see how each of these settings affect the direction of the sound. So we are testing the personalized audio. I'm using free trial, of course. If it works well, I'm gonna pay for it. So the first test we are running, I took the enemy, he's on exactly or almost at 90 degrees to the right. So while we are standing here and we have personalized enhanced headphone mode on, we're gonna shoot a sign down there. Let me show you that sign. There's a sign down there. You see, we're gonna shoot that one. Alright, at this point, I want you to have a listen. Enhanced headphone mode is on. Did it really feel that it's being shot exactly on the right side? Of course not. And you know why? It's not about the paid mode or the free mode, but there's something happening when we are having this enhanced headphone mode on. First, let's have a listen how it sounds when it's off. Now you can hear it mostly on the right side. You can definitely tell that we are shooting on the right side, right? Now, if we enable enhanced headphone mode again, and by the way, I have the personalized on as well because in the previous video, I had it off. Now you can hear that the same problem exists for footsteps as well. So when we have it on, you can't be sure that someone is approaching you exactly from the right side, right? Here's another example. Once we turn it off, have a listen. It's being heard mostly on the right side, and you can even see it here. So let me show you what's going on. You can see here that it's very loud on both left and right channel. Maybe a little bit quieter on the left side because we are shooting on the right side, right? And now I'm going to show you something interesting. So the audio gets louder on the left. So I feel like someone is shooting from the front right, not exactly on the right side. And that's the problem I'm finding with this setting. And there's a delay. So let me tell you this. So the audio is being played louder and earlier on the left side, and then with a delay, it will be played on the left side with less gain or volume. Maybe this is how things work in real life. I have no idea. Maybe that's how things work. But I find it easier if the left side is much quieter compared to right side when I'm gaming. I'm just talking about the game. Or maybe if you try it, you like it and you think it's actually better, you can find directions better. But I personally find it easier when this option is completely turned off. It doesn't matter if you're using personalized audio or the universal audio. It just happens the same way for both gunshots and footsteps. So let me know, what do you feel that enhanced headphone mode have that makes you use it over the typical 3D audio or stereo audio? Now there is one more thing, explosion test. Again, I wanted to ensure that I'm not just running some random test and I'm going more in depth. So for this one, I tried to throw a grenade. First, enhanced headphone mode off, okay? Alright, so it's being mostly played on the right side. And there is not as much delay for the right and left channel. And if we just measure this, on the right side, we have minus 0.05 decibels. It's the loudest it could be. And on the left side, minus 11. You could be sure that this explosion happened on the right side. Now, what if we have the enhanced headphone mode on? Wow, have a listen, please. To me, it feels it's being played from here. Not here, you know. We are throwing it to the right side, but I feel like someone threw that grenade here. And if we measure the difference between the right and the left channel, minus 0.05 and left channel minus 1. Only 1 decibel difference. I'm not saying which one is realistic, or maybe this works better for you. I have no idea about that one. I tested it multiple times, and there is one more thing I tested. I thought maybe you may think about it too. What if I enable 3D audio and also enhanced headphone mode and the profile, customized profile and everything all together? I did that, but that wouldn't help with this one. It just works the same way on any audio mode, PS5, Xbox, and PC. Now when we have the enhanced headphone mode off, now I'm much more sure that where the enemy is coming from. It gets a bit louder when you get very close. That's how 3D audio works, because yeah, when they get closer, this is how things work. We have a video about how footsteps work and at what frequencies they affect the audio the most. You can watch that there, but it's mostly from 60, 70 to 120 Hz. We also shared the details in that video. These are from the last video. So what are my final thoughts on 3D audio versus stereo versus enhanced headphones mode? First of all, if you are talking about the audio gain, if you want my personal recommendation, I would suggest Sucker Punch. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying everyone should be using that or something like that. Sucker Punch because footsteps are louder and gunshots are on a lower level compared to other. I mean, they are not quieter compared to something like Treyarch, but when we compare to dynamic range, they are on a more compressed level, so you don't need to have a very high volume to hear footsteps. That's my opinion. But if you don't like Sucker Punch, the next thing that gives you almost similar results but also a bit more dynamic range is headphones mode. But I would personally go with Sucker Punch first, and then if I want a bit more dynamic range for any reason, headphones mode or maybe Treyarch mix. When it comes to 3D audio, again, Sucker Punch is my first choice. And then when you have enhanced headphones mode, you can see it's actually a bit quieter. I mean, the dynamic range is larger between them, but again, Sucker Punch wins if for any reason you want to use enhanced headphone mode or 3D audio. If you are using 3D audio, you can use personalized profile as well. That works well. We talked about it in another video in the past. That works well. If you want to use 3D audio with enhanced headphone mode, you can do that. I mean, it's not gonna ruin anything, but the enhanced headphone mode just ruins the directions, in my opinion. And in the next part of the video, I'm gonna show you how you can set up asymmetrical hearing compensation and other stuff for your headphones, for PlayStation headphones. And then I'm gonna show you how you can use our free bot on Discord server to get the best settings for free. And by the best settings, I mean the settings I found them the best for myself. So yeah. For the Pulse 3D headset, ensure to connect it wirelessly, and these are my recommended EQ settings on the PS5 itself, combined with these in-game settings for frequencies for both the left and right channels. Keep in mind, I suggest Sucker Punch or headphones mode if you don't like Sucker Punch. For Pulse Elite headset, these are my recommended PS5 EQ settings, and these are my in-game asymmetrical settings for both left and right channels, again with Sucker Punch or headphones mode. For Pulse Explore, these are my suggested PS5 EQ settings with these in-game asymmetrical frequency settings for both channels with Sucker Punch or headphones mode. 3D audio is a personal choice. I suggest giving stereo a try for one match and then deciding what sounds best to you. These settings will give you both better directional and louder footstep sounds if you have enhanced headphone mode off. If for any reason you like to use enhanced headphones mode, using 3D audio on PS5 helps make it better when it comes to hearing footsteps. You can also join our Discord server for free and use our free bot for making settings conversions and recommendations for audio settings based on your headphones, currently supporting Pulse series. There is one more thing you can do, which is send audio to your PC, and then you'll have a new word unlocked by using a capture card, second controller, or sound extractor. If you want a dedicated video on that one, let me know in the comments. These are my suggested volume settings, and on PS5 I suggest using linear PCM, especially if you are using typical headphones and not a Dolby decoder. If you wonder about Pulse 3D versus Pulse Elite, I found Pulse Elite more useful for hearing footsteps, but Pulse 3D is good enough with the settings I gave you. And Pulse Elite has a lot of problems that I don't suggest buying if you don't have it already. I'm sure for that price you can find much better options, but keep in mind to find something that supports saving EQ on the headset itself. If you are looking for a great microphone for your PS5 that attaches to any headset, check my review of ModMic USB 2 on the end screen. I'll catch you there.